Hello everyone. The goal of this video is pretty simple: how to play the Vienna game using Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura tips and games. Now if you go online, you can see that Hikaru Nakamura against e4, e5, his favorite move is 293, which is the Vienna game. And now black can answer knight f6 or knight c6, or the third most popular move is bishop c5. Now, this is online chess. Now, keep in mind that Hikaru played it over the board in Berlin in a FIDE Grand Prix tiebreak. So right now, let's see a few online examples.
A4 if I wait. Probably always a draw, honestly. Never really had much there. Draws are, yeah, but see, the problem is because Dan is 200 points lower, I actually lose like 4 points for draws. So that's actually the biggest problem. Let's play knight c3 again. Let's do the same thing with bishop c4. No to what? Oh, was I supposed to win for you guys? Was there some bet or something? Play h3. Guess I'll play knight f3. Why not? I mean, knight a4 and knight c5 is always an idea here. It's not particularly strong or anything, but it's playable.
Black can play knight f6, that's the most popular, and here Hikaru play bishop c4 or f4. And of course, black can start with knight c6, and again, you get a lot of moves. So I try to simplify here what we're gonna go over in this video. And after 2 knight c3, we're gonna explore first knight f6, which is the main move, seeing how Hikaru does it, and then knight c6 and bishop c5 as well, to have a complete opening guide and some winning ideas for white. So now let's get into the specifics, how to play this opening with white, and knight f6 is the main answer to the Vienna game. So here bishop c4 is what Hikaru played the most, but at the end of this video we'll explore f4 as well. Now knight e4 is the key variation. The idea is like if white were to take, then d5 happens, and then the game will continue like that, but black is fine. So instead here, most of the time, Hikaru plays queen h5. The knight retreats to cover f7, bishop b3, and black is up a pawn, but Hikaru lacks the activity here. So here, bishop e7 is often played. You can also start with knight c6, but it transposes after knight f3, knight c6, you have a typical position. And here you have different way to play. So Hikaru has done three things. He has played castle, he has played knight e5, and he also tried d4, and he has excellent results in the three variations. So let's say if you take here, then you have a good position. Let's say this will be the main moves, and here queen f4, and you can see that black has some time to spend to be able to develop the bishop c8. So this position is probably better for white, and Hikaru has great results. So here he's played knight d5 and g3, and this is better for white. Now I want to showcase another line here. He has done d4 here as well. That's like a pawn gambit, and he has excellent results. So let me just explain what are the ideas here. Let's say he takes d4, and now knight d5, right? So that's very strong. So black would castle, Hikaru castles, and now how you develop your pieces here with black? You're up 2 pawns, but you have tremendous attacking chances. So here, in one of the game, g6 was played, and Hikaru retreats the queen on h3, knight f5 here played, g4 attacking the knight retreats, and here rook e1. You can see that all pieces from white are occupying active spots, so it's worth giving up pawns. And after d6 here, white won in 2 moves. That was an excellent game by Hikaru. He played take here, and here knight f6 followed by checkmate on h7. So just to give you an idea, over here he has played knight e4, but you also have d4. So that's the line starting with knight e4 on move 3. But now we're gonna go back here and look at what could be the next possibilities here. So beside taking on e4, another move I want to showcase is bishop c5. So here g3, let's say d6 is most often played, and here Hikaru likes h3 here. That way you don't have knight g4 or bishop g4, so we start with h3. Now typically bishop e6 is played and he retreats the bishop here. Let's say knight c6 is the most common variation, and here very important. What is the idea of this setup? The idea is like knight e2 and f4. And then you can put some pressure, maybe play f5, maybe take here, have some play on the f5. So very important when you're in this position, you do knight e2, preparing f4. So let's say in the game knight d4 was played by black, and there's many games in this variation, take, knight e2, bishop b6, and now even without castling, you have two ideas that Hikaru played. He played knight g3 in as one game like that, and f4 directly, also winning. So let me just start with f4. That's very important to remember. f4 here with a knight on e2. So that position here taken happened 3 times, and then you recapture with the bishop, and after the exchanges here, black is having some trouble to finish development. So let's say queen e7 played, and here queen d2, and in this position there was d5, e5, and here d4. Black is played by Daniel Naroditsky, and Hikaru's white won this game. So very important in this variation, if I were just to summarize, on knight d4, you take, then you do f4, and here you're ready to castle long, possibly, and g4, g5, you have a better position for white. So that was a key idea, and what I wanted to show you as well is on instead of bishop e6 here, sometimes black play castle already, and here you can try a lot of ideas. Knight e2 or even queen f3 was played once, and here you do the same thing, retreat the bishop, you take like that, and in this position Hikaru plays knight e2, and he had better chances. Bishop e3, and the play is better for white, so he played short castle here, and he had a better position and won with an attack on the king side as well. So that was about bishop c4 and bishop c5. Now let's go to a next variation that I want to focus, which is the two knights variation. What I call the two knight variation is essentially after knight f6, you do bishop c4, and here knight c6 is played. Or you could also transpose, and on knight c6, do bishop c4, and now black play knight f6. So you have two knights variation here. So what do you do with white? d3, same idea, bishop c5, and here right away you can do f4. So Hikaru has played h3 in this position as well, and he has great results either way. But let me show you f4 right away, and after d6, which is logical, knight f3. And in this position, black can do a lot of things. So let's say if black try to do h6, then you do f5, and you launch the attack on the king side. That's one option. If bishop g4 is played, then bishop b5, and you pin the knight, and after say 97, you take, and h3, and black's gonna take, and you have a better position, and Hikaru won that game. Here you can see the structure happening here. The pawn structure is damaged. Okay, so now let's go back to after knight f3. What else can black try? Now on castle here, Hikaru has played h3 and also f5. He's played this position multiple times. Let me just show you one example. Here he went g4 attacking, knight h7 played, and now h4. You can see he played f4, f5. He's preparing g4, g5, gonna play rook g1, and he has a tremendous attack, control on the center as well. He won this game very easily. So that was on castle. So we've seen a lot of different moves here, and maybe the one I want to highlight is like on 9g4 here, Hikaru play queen e2, but even here, knight g5 is very strong. And if black try here, queen h5, and you're winning with white on the spot. So the last point I want to show here, maybe the most common answer by black is a6, so that the bishop can retreat and you don't have knight a4 in this position. That I would say is the most common reply. And here Hikaru does the same thing, a3, so that he can retreat his bishop over here. Let's continue. Let's see castle, the most common answer, and here f5. So that's another way for Hikaru to prepare the attack. And you can see you have an easy play with white. So let's continue. So black played b5 in 3 games. Hikaru retreats here. 94 was played, sorry. And here, bishop g5. That position is very promising for white. Let's continue a little bit. c6 played. And here, all the games that Hikaru has played, he has won here. And he played twice knight e2. He also played once queen d2, which is also strong. But let's look on knight e2. What is his idea? Take, take. And now you can see the rook can come here, attack, the queen can develop. You have a much better position with white. So d5 was tried, knight g3, very important, h6, and here simply bishop d2, and queen b6, queen e2, and white is better. So after a5, long castle, b4, a4, and here white has a strong attack. And the second game, which happened here, was a5, and here queen e2 played. Same thing on b4, you lock down the queen side here, and you're ready to attack. On the king side, queen g2 played. Let's continue. King h7, probably not the best move. And after a few moves, white castle long and is ready to launch the attack here. So you have definitely an open file, can play rook g1, and here it's hard for black to attack. So overall, I just explained actually all the variation after knight f6, starting with bishop c4. So now in the next segment, we're gonna look at the second move order, which is 9c6. Now we're exploring 96. So once again, here after seeing knight f6, the most popular one, we're gonna explore 3 bishop c4 against 96 here, which is the second section of this Vienna game repertoire, if you will. So here, once again, bishop c4 is the most popular in Hikaru's game. And maybe the first thing I want to show is like on bishop c5 here, you can play this very interesting queen g4. So yes, you can play g3, and g3 would transpose a lot with what we just seen in the previous segment, but you can try queen g4 as well, and that's quite an interesting sideline. After this move, you play queen g3, and you have an interesting game with white. So I want to mention queen g4, very interesting sideline. Now, the other thing I want to mention again on bishop c4 is on knight f6, g3, we have looked at bishop c5, and we've seen the variation like that, but we also have to look at bishop b4. So here again, there's a lot of different plays, but knight e2, d5 are the main moves here. You take, and here you simply castle. Let's say bishop e6 is the main move. What are the ideas here? So there's a number of things you can do, but Hikaru prefers to take on d5. And after bishop takes d5, he goes with f4. And that's very important. Again, knight on e2 and play f2, f4. That's very typical. And if black castle here, you simply go, let's say, he can play a3, but like f5. That's very strong. And f6 here takes a3. Let's say that the bishops retreat on a5 and do 9g3, and you have a very good position. Let's go one more move, 9d4, c4, and here you can retreat and have knight e4 as well. So bishop b4 is one side line I want you to show. The other one you can see beside bishop b4 is knight a5 here. On knight a5, essentially Hikaru ignores, right? And plays knight e2, take, let's say bishop c5. And here you can play, let's say, h3, that's typical of his play, h6. And here you have queen d3, very interesting. After d6, bishop e3, and now you can see that he's getting ready for long castle as well. And here he has a great position, better development. The queen is already out. Black has still to finish development here. b3. And you can see no matter what, he has won the game. So 97, g3, and he has a much easier play here. Long castle, as I explained. And black still has to take care of the king. Well, with f4, you're launching the attack with white. So definitely I prefer the white side, much easier to play. So on d3, I did mention bishop b4 and knight a5, which are very interesting side line. And maybe one other side line on knight a5, you can also play queen f3. And that is also very strong. Let me demonstrate. Take is logical. And here we can go with the main line, d6, knight goes on e2 in this variation, the bishop e7, you have a better position. And I like 9g3 here, or h3 followed by 9g3. So that's after protecting here. Let's see this game. And here you do 9g3, and you have a very easy plan, right? So g6, you have here bishop h6, and black cannot castle here. So clearly, I really prefer the white position. You can play long castle here, put some pressure on this pawn. Much better play, even though you gave up the bishop pair. So now that I mentioned the side lines that we haven't seen after knight f6, and I mentioned as well these queen g4 side lines, I think that's the key ideas I want you to showcase. Let's go to the next segment. And now we have covered bishop c4, so I like to go back to f4. So interestingly, on knight f6, you can play f4 on move 3, and on knight c6, you can also play f4. So how does that work? So let's start with possibly knight f6. So here, it's a very known line, f4, d5, the best move, take, and here you can see queen f3 is Hikaru's choice. Most of the time black takes, let's follow that line. So here you take with the d pawn, knight c6, and here you have bishop b5 or bishop f4. I can see slightly better result with bishop f4, so I'm going to go with that move order, and here long castle. That's the main idea. You open with the d pawn and you put pressure here on the d file. And that leads to dynamic play. Maybe I can show you one game with g5 here, when black tried to attack Hikaru here, but after h3, h4, bishop g7, white is better here. The game ended in a draw, but that's more promising for white if you follow the engine recommendation. Now, of course, instead of bishop f4, you can also pin over here. And now on check, you simply block here. And on check here, you can play that endgame. And that endgame here is also better for white. You can play bishop e3 or bishop f4. And you have a lot of double pawn in black position. Eventually, you're going to pick up e4. And this turns out to be better for white as well. Now, I want to mention that on queen f3, sometimes knight c6 can be played, and bishop b5 is Hikaru's choice here. And now on take, once again, you take with a d pawn here, and you have a better position. Let's say bishop e6, and you do bishop f4. Let's say on here, you're going to double the pawn, you're very happy, and you play long castle, and you have the better prospects. Rook b8, knight e2, the knight can come here, you can play rook f1, and on c5, let's go a little bit more, c4, putting pressure on here, and now you're threatening c takes d5. So again, a very strong play by Hikaru on the line f4. Now, what you want to be aware is on knight c6, you can also play f4, but that leads to a very risky line. But if you're ready to play, especially in Blitz, a complex line, that's how this line goes. You go knight f3, g5 the main move, bishop c4, g4, castle, and white gives up piece. If you can see on the right side, Hikaru has only wins 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 games from this position. He's done a piece, but has tremendous activity here. Particularly, the king here is actually in danger. Let's say on bishop g7, he would take here and he once again ends Niemann. But maybe more interesting, I want to show instead of that on knight e5 here, take queen f6, queen g3, queen g7. He goes for the endgame. And here he's gonna play d4 next. No matter what's happening on f6, he plays d4 and has a better position. And against Tani, a promising young player in the US, he played d4 as well. And here he pick up another pawn, and the king went here, and he has a lot of activity for the piece. And after e5 is going through, and here you have a lot of activity. Rook ad1, you can see all your pieces are developed here. They're all attacking. Yes, black is up a piece, but you have tremendous problems. All your pieces are not coordinated, and you're gonna be able to survive. So that then continues, and eventually Hikaru scored the full point. So I think that leaves us to knight c3, knight c6, f4, and also knight f6, f4, if you want to switch it up from bishop c4. Now, we want to go to the last part of this video, which is going back here to bishop c5. Here, while he tried queen g4, bishop c4 is his answer. So let's go straight to that. Bishop c5, bishop c4, knight f6, g3, and you transpose what we've seen before. Let's say knight c6 here, and now h3 or even f4 playable. And here you have the classic setup where you don't do knight f3, but knight e2 is something that Hikaru prefers recently, at least. And here in this position, no matter what, you're gonna be able to play castle followed by king h1 and h4. So let's say king h1 here, let's say black takes, takes, play d5, and here you're gonna do knight g3 or taking followed by f4. So let's see. Knight g3 here, take, and here in this position, the black remove the bishop, and once again f4 with play on this file. So f4 and f5 played, knight g3, the knight belongs here. You can see here that there's a lot of activity for white. You cover here, and now you're ready to play that. Play bishop f4, rook f4, and you have better chances, and white won this game. So I think that we're coming at the end of this video. We've seen all the different answers. We focus on bishop c4 and f4, and I will leave you with one more short video where Hikaru plays the Vienna game. Once again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. This is much appreciated. Thank you.